Good evening and welcome to Campside Chats, a podcast about female solo traveling by female solo travelers. So, this episode, we're going to be talking about what do I need to bring, what gear you need, where you should get it, and all that good stuff. I'm Sierra Keat and I'm here with my co-host, Sarah Donkey. Sarah, how are you?
I'm good. I've just been traveling all throughout Florida. So if anyone needs Florida tips, please hit me up because I've been all up and down the state this last month. So I'm really, really well. How are you, Sierra?
I'm doing well. I'm still here in DC and just having a good time. It's been pretty warm this weekend, which has been really nice. I was able to sit outside and read a book. It was 63 degrees out. I'm sure it's even warmer and sunnier in Florida, though.
It's like 80 degrees every day.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Sunny.
That's
And
amazing.
so hot and muggy in certain areas. So that's been.
I believe it. Where in Florida have you been? Have you been in like the swamps and stuff or like?
I have. I've been all over. So I've been in the Panhandle at the Forgotten Coast in Apalachicola. I went to Central Florida in Ocala, which has beautiful natural springs that you can swim in that are 72 degrees like year round. It's so cool. I got to swim with the manatees. That was awesome. And then I recently went to the Everglades, which were the hottest and muggiest place I'd ever been in my life.
Oh, wow.
Funny story. The first 2 nights I was there, it was breezy, and so there weren't really any bugs, and it was cooler. Like it was only 70 degrees at night. But the last day I was there, the last night, it got really hot. It got close to 85 degrees in the daytime. It only cooled down to about 81 at night. So it was super buggy. There was no breeze. And I was just in my car, like drenched in sweat the whole night.
Oh gosh.
And like with little bugs everywhere. It was, that's the beauty of travel is, some places are going to be gorgeous and so just, comfortable, and other places are going to be gorgeous, but also kind of gross. And that's the name of the game. So I'm very happy to be back in, air conditioning. It's been such a treat.
I can definitely understand why.
Yes.
I fully believe that.
Yeah. And in line with our topic today, you said, talking about planning and what gear to get and how to set out on your adventure. I met another solo traveler when I was in Ocala, and they gave me some information on installing bug screens on my car because I sleep in my car. And that was such a godsend in Ocala, in Everglades. Like the mosquitoes were this big, and
wow,
it was so fantastic to have that little screen between me and the bugs at night. I just truly, it's kind of trail angels that you come across and they help you out, and it's so great. So yeah, be prepared for bugs if you go to Florida.
Oh yeah. That really is the name of the game.
Totally. So yeah, we're talking about gear a little bit, and I was wondering, Sierra, what kind of gear you got for your travels. Where did you go? What did you get? How did you find it? I know you shared that funny story about the tent last time.
Yes.
But I'm sure there was more kind of planning and getting gear involved. So what was that process like?
So that process was interesting because I kind of decided to do this trip kind of spur of the moment. There was a lot that I could have packed had I decided to, like, in advance take a road trip. But because I thought I was only going to go to Atlanta and back to DC, I didn't really pack a whole lot. So once I decided to commit to going on this road trip, I decided that I needed to get a bunch of gear because I was not totally prepared. But I found the coolest place in Asheville, North Carolina. I have a little sticker for it on my water bottle here.
Love that.
And it's called Second Gear. And it's one of 2 secondhand outdoor gear stores on the East Coast. They have a chain of like 3 stores. There's one in Asheville, there's another one in Tennessee, and I forget where the third one is. But essentially, I was able to go there and get a ton of gear that I needed. I got hiking boots. I got this really amazing down parka, which was a godsend during my travels because it was super cold that night. So I had the opposite problem that you had, Sarah. It wasn't the hot and muggy for me. It was that it just got cold. But I got that parka, and that was a game changer. I also got some North Face cargo pants that you can like unzip the top part and they can become short. So they also have a ton of pockets, which is great. And I also got a pair of wind pants because those were also a true godsend again, because when it got cold that night, that was like, I think probably like my 3rd and sometimes 4th layer of pants.
Oof.
I also got a sleeping bag, which was important.
I'm so glad that you got all of the cold weather gear that you needed, because I think to emphasize, as you said, when it gets cold at night and you're camping, there's no, you don't just turn the thermostat up. There's no kind of defense against the cold unless you just layer up. And so having those pants, and I think a lot of times we think about just jackets, but also think about the bottom half of your body. Like your legs will get really cold, your feet will get really cold. So I'm so glad that you did that. And were you sleeping in your parka at night? Like, was it that chilly? Wow.
I was actually. It definitely got that cold at times.
Wow. What do you think was the lowest temperature that it got in your tent?
I know one night it got to like 16 or 14 degrees. At that night, I stayed in my car because I was like, it's too cold.
It was so cold.
Yeah.
Wow. I truly just can't emphasize like how amazing that is that you.
Oh, and guess where it was that it got that cold, Sarah? Just take a guess.
Where?
The Grand Canyon.
There we go. There we go. The elevation.
Yeah, it was the Grand Canyon of all places.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I just can't. That's very, very, that's amazing that you did that, honestly, because it's cold. It's really cold when you're camping, and then you wake up and you make your tea or whatever, and you're still pretty cold. There's no getting in a hot shower.
I mean, I don't know. The nice thing for me was like when you got up in the morning, even though it was cold, like once you started moving around and like making your campfire and making your breakfast and your tea, like you started to warm up.
Yeah.
And that's what I found that was super great and very helpful.
Yeah, and then the sun comes out and you're like, oh my gosh, thank God.
Yeah.
The sun is here.
And then also when you go on like your first hike of the day and then you like start to warm up and you're like, gosh, this place is so beautiful. Like, it's truly incredible.
I love it. That's so cool. So you got did you get most of your gear at once? I know that you had like a separate REI run, but was it all at once?
Yeah, my sister, because it was Christmas, she blessed me and gifted me with this awesome REI bundle or package that consisted of a tent, a gas stove, mini cooker that had like little pots and pans with it. And she also included, there's the pot, pan, the mini cooker, the tent, and I feel like there was a third thing and I'm blanking on it.
But honestly, that's a great gift.
It really was. It was an absolute game changer. And then the other thing I did a Walmart run while I was in Chattanooga, and there were some other things I got. Oh, that was the other thing I got at Second Gear. I got a pair of gloves, and they were amazing. But then I laid them by a little too close to the campfire one night.
Oh no!
And they melted, and I was devastated. But luckily, I got myself a new pair of gloves, but they weren't nearly as good as my other pair, so I was a little devastated about that. But anyways, back to Chattanooga. I got a pair. I got 2 sports bras and a cooler while I was there because I think I got the cooler at a Target. Yeah, I got the cooler at Target in Charleston, South Carolina. But yeah, that was where I got that. And then, yeah, what else did I? Because there was the Walmart where I got the 2 sports bras, and then there was a bunch of other gear that I got, and I'm kind of blanking on what it was that I specifically got.
It got you through though, and I think one thing that's definitely similar about our gear experiences is that I went several times to several places to get things, because when you're traveling, like, you get all your stuff that you think you need, but then you realize there's so much more you come into different, you're like, oh, okay, I'm running low on this, or I need more fuel, or it's extra cold, I need fleece pants. Fleece pants, by the way, are amazing.
Like, yes, they
if
are.
You're gonna be camping in the cold, if it's probably under like 50 degrees at night, I would highly recommend fleece pants. They're fantastic. Really, really awesome. So yeah, I think it's interesting. My experience was pretty similar. I started in Arizona, where my family is, and they were generous and lovely enough to accompany me to REI probably 4 times. I think I'm single-handedly supporting their business model by all of my purchases, but I got all the things I needed. Actually, my lovely roommate and our team member for our rowing team, she gifted me all of her backpacking stuff and her tent, which was so, so lovely and really put me in the right direction. That was definitely a few $100s of gear, which was awesome. And then, yeah, along the way, so I got a lot of stuff my first, before I set out. And then what I realized when I was going through the country, and I started in Arizona and I went through the South and then dropped down into Florida. And I realized there were some things I never used. And I was really sure that I would use them. Like, I bought a shovel for to dig a hole in case I had to use the bathroom and there were no bathrooms, and haven't used that once, and there are just some things that you're going to buy that you're never really going to use, but you won't know it until you actually get out there and, go the distance. So was there anything like that for you that you just never really used, or used less than you thought?
My wind pants I didn't use nearly as often as I thought I was going to. I feel like there were definitely certain items, like, I feel like more food items. I thought I was gonna cook a lot. I thought I was gonna make spaghetti a lot, and then I had leftover spaghetti noodles when I got back from my trip, so I still had spaghetti.
I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't bring spaghetti on your camping trip. You don't need it.
Yeah, definitely bring quick cooking stuff that you actually eat in your normal life. Like, people are always like, oh, what you eat on the road, what you eat when you're camping. I'm like, if you're the kind of person, I really like veggies. So if I can get a whole bunch of fresh veggies, cut them up the first night, cook them and store them in my cooler, I will be so happy. My body will be so much happier the whole rest of the trip. But if you're somebody who like doesn't like broccoli, don't pack broccoli, because when you're in the campground at night and you're hungry, you're not going to magically want broccoli. Like that's just not what happens. So I had to learn like what I actually wanted to eat versus what I thought in my mind travelers and backpackers and campers eat. You know what I mean? And so it's very different. Actually, I went through 2 different stove systems in my travels. So the first one I got was a Jetboil, which is more of a backpacking stove. And I don't know which one you got, Sierra, if you got like a backpacking stove or another system. But if it was just like kind of a single kind of canister. But I got that one first, and then I tried to do something that was stupid because it's not meant for it. And I tried to heat up soup and totally burned the whole thing and caused a whole issue. And then REI, I cleaned it up and REI took it back, which is amazing. And then I got this other MSR cooking system that has like a pot and a pan. And it's so much.
That's what my sister gifted me, the MSR.
Great.
And it has like the little 3 fingers that like has a little stand. Yeah, that thing is perfect. That is something everybody should bring with them on their solo trip, because it's the real MVP.
I love it. I didn't even know we had the same stove system.
I didn't either. But it's so great, and it's so convenient too, because it has a little like mesh bag that you like put it in. So storage is super simple with it. You can put like the little mini gas can inside it. Another thing too is my little gas can ran out at one point, and a lot of stores near national parks will sell the little canisters necessary to hold the cooker. So they will have spare gas cans when you discover that you need one.
That's a really good tip. I like that a lot because, yeah, you don't have to mess with like white gas or that kind of stuff. Like they have really high tech, lightweight, as Sierra was saying, like gas, canisters that you don't have to mess with. Because one of the biggest things I was worried about was spilling gas everywhere, filling it up. But these canisters make it so easy. It's like, I feel like I'm cheating because I'm like, it shouldn't be this easy. It really should.
Like they recycle the cans for you at most places. And then you can just from there just get a new one. Personally, I didn't refill mine. I wouldn't know how to go about that, but
yeah.
Again, they're small. They don't take up a lot of space. They're perfect for storage or anything else you need. Like, they're just amazing.
They're actually incredible. You're so right. And I would say word to the wise, as Sierra mentioned, like they can run out pretty fast if you don't watch it. So definitely get a few, like get one more than you need just to have it, because you can always bring it, in the future if you're backpacking or camping or whatever. But yeah, getting that stove system was a life changer. I loved that. I'm just, my car is kind of crazy right now because when I was in Florida, I decided that I needed a scuba diving, or not scuba diving, a snorkeling whole thing. And so I got this whole system that has
that's
flippers,
impressive.
Yeah, flippers and goggles and like all the things from REI. And I've just been so happy with it because even when places have rentals, like they're like, hey, you can use ours or you can rent them for cheap. Especially with COVID, it's just like so nice to have your own snorkel that no one else can touch or like, no one else touches.
Yeah, especially with COVID, like a snorkel that's been in somebody else's mouth, like even if it's been cleaned and sanitized, I would not be comfortable with that.
You would truly be surprised how many people are. And I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
unsafe. Like, I think that people sterilize them and it's fine. Just the concept to me is just so bizarre where
Mhm.
like, I don't know about that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But that was one thing I picked up in Florida. So it's funny because I have these like epic hiking boots and I came to Florida and I was like, okay, I'm ready to hike. Like I have all my gear and I have my long pants and everything. And everyone here just kind of hikes in like Tevas and, shorts and a t-shirt. And so when you go to different climates and when you go to different kind of camping and like hiking cultures, you have to adapt and
Mhm.
like dress differently and just kind of see what people around you are wearing and what they're doing because they probably have a way better idea than you if you're new to the climate of what you should do. So that would definitely be my tip there.
Yeah, for sure. Because you do have to adapt to various environments and conditions. And I
Yeah.
mean, think about even where you were like last month. I think the last podcast you were telling me you were down
In
um
Mississippi. Yeah.
in
In Jackson.
Mississippi during the snow and ice storms that
Yep.
were over there.
Yep.
And that's completely different than the environment in Florida.
It's so, so different. And that's the thing is I feel so lucky to have my car because you can be prepared. You can be prepared for anything and you don't have to lug it all on your back,
Mhm.
which is lovely. So I have Lake Sierra, a big parka, I have fleece pants, but I organize it in a way where that if it's not that season, I put it to the bottom and I stack all of my other stuff on top. So I'm ready
Yeah.
for that season. Um, but I also realized I brought way too many yoga pants and not enough hiking shorts. And you have to be a little flexible.
Mhm.
But I know one thing we wanted to share with you all is about kind of cost and how, sometimes it can seem like solo traveling can be cost prohibitive. If you look at like Instagram, for example, if you see all
Oh
the
my gosh,
people,
yeah.
yeah, with like custom built new vans and all these like really expensive items, I was wondering if you could talk about like how to kind of do it on a budget or, yeah, how you saw was most helpful to make it reasonable for people like us to just go.
Yeah, so I would say honestly, the biggest thing I found was just it's not as expensive as you think it's going to be. I mean, for me, the whole trip going from essentially DC all the way to the very edge of California and back was less than $500 for gas. And then
Mm-hmm.
I think on food, I would probably spend probably around 500 as well. So it was 1,000 total for just the food and gas.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else added on top of that, once you add it all up, it costs about a month's worth of rent.
Yeah.
So it's really like you don't have to do anything super fancy or super expensive or luxurious just
Yeah.
to make a trip fun. Like
Yeah.
it's yeah, another thing that worked out really well for me too, was getting what's called in America the Beautiful Pass. So essentially, it's an $80 if you're under the age of 65 pass that allows you to get into any national park for free, which is amazing. You still have to pay to like set up your tent there, but camping in most national parks is either around 20 or $30.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not super expensive and it works out really well.
Yeah, I've loved my America the Beautiful Pass, and it also works at national forests as well, I believe.
Mhm.
There are some other like historical landmarks and some other nature areas that accept it, which is great, like national seashores. So you could be saving a lot of money because some of the entrance fees are pretty high for some of these national parks,
Mhm.
and just displaying it is great. I was reminded, I don't know if when you were in Big Bend, Sierra, I have this kind of clear thing, like a clear holder that I can hang up on my dashboard or my rear view mirror, and it
Yep.
will hold my pass out. The ranger in Big Bend said to not use it because it gets so hot that the plastic can actually melt through your window and completely like distort the whole card. And so
Wow.
some national parks, if it's too hot, too cold, they'll give you like a slip of paper with your information and you can stick it to your window. So that was just kind of funny where I was like, wow,
So I was told the
great.
same thing for a different reason, though. When I was in Zion, they told me not to hang it outside the car because people will steal your pass because it's worth $80. It can get you into any park, and that's
Wow.
really valuable.
Wow.
And that, for that reason alone, like, they tell you not to hang it. Like, show it at the gate, but then keep it hidden somewhere. You don't wanna
Wow.
lose it, otherwise you can't go into any park anywhere.
That's so wild to me. It's like, oh my, oh my. I have faith in humanity, but that's really wild to me that people will do that. But it is valuable, you know, like Sierra said, gets you into any national park. There are also like discounted senior passes, and if you like have a disability, definitely make sure you get the access pass, and that will give you a discount on camping also. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that tip. I think that's a really good one. I think for me, I spent a lot of time thinking about like, okay, how am I going to do this on my budget? If I got a custom van, if I tried to build it out or had someone build it out, Sierra was mentioning like the cost of rent. Just a disclaimer, we both live in Washington, D.C., so rent is like sky high.
Yeah.
The cost of rent in every state and every city. But for me, like, you know, living in Washington, D.C., rent was really high. I had nowhere to build out a van. Like, I lived in a really dense city block, so there was no way. So I got a car and I got a Subaru Outback, which had the capacity in the back that I can fit like I can lie down. I'm about 5'7", and so I can just lie flat straight down in the back. And I have like a nice air mattress and a little foam pad, and it's very comfortable. So I think the main takeaway from my experience, and Sierra, maybe yours too, is that you can totally do this car camping. You can do it when you take a tent, if you want to set up your tent. You could do it by sleeping in the back of your car. Your solo travel doesn't have to look like the ideal Instagram van life.
Mhm.
Like, that's great. And I've met people who do that. It's awesome. But especially if your trip is a little bit more temporary and isn't going to be like an ongoing lifestyle for years and years and years. If you want to do it for just a few months, if you want to do it for a year, car camping is awesome. Another thing is a lot of times car camping or tent camping will allow you to kind of be flexible and get to park in the tent only section or the RV section. So it just
Mhm.
gives you more options for camping spots than bringing a van or bringing a bigger RV might do. So,
Exactly. That is very true, Sarah. And
yeah.
also going off your point with, car camping too, so like you, I'm in a smaller car. I have a Honda Fit, and I'm about 5'8", 5'9". I could lay my seats down perfectly flat to the ground, blow up an air mattress, and sleep in there pretty comfortably as well. And
That's awesome.
it's amazing what you're able to do when you get creative with your car, because most people would think, oh, there's no way you could sleep in that and like actually have a good night's sleep, but you can do it.
You
You
did it. You
really
can do
can.
it. honestly. And let us know, feel free to message us if you have any questions about how we made it more comfortable. I did an air mattress with like a foam pad on top, and it just it feels like a regular bed. I know you don't believe me. My car has beat me up a little bit because there's a big metal thing that sticks out right by my bed, and I have a habit of bumping into it.
Oof.
But other than that, it's completely comfortable and very, very doable. But I think our time is actually up. We just like to thank you again for listening and watching us. And we'll have another episode shortly and continue to talk about the solo female traveler life, and give you all updates as we go along. So thanks so much for spending the time with us. Thanks, Sierra, also.
Thank you, Sarah. Take care, everyone, and have a good night.
Bye.